In 30 seconds of racing, he won $15,000 in the very first Vans Triple Crown of BMX. His name is Robbie Miranda, and today, he's on XBS.
From our studio in Southern California, welcome to XBS.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of XBS. I am Paul Higgins, and today we've got two great guests. As I've already said, Robbie Miranda is going to join us. Actually, he's on the set right now. A little bit later on, it'll be Alan Foster. We're going to split the show up in half. We're going to talk about the Vans Triple Crown of BMX, and then a little bit later on with Alan Foster, a little preview to the big race coming up in Louisville, Kentucky, the finals of the NBL. And the NBL is the National Bicycle League. So as the X Games kicks into high gear, we're going to take a different avenue with BMX because I think it really deserves the attention. As I said, Robbie Miranda is joining me on the show today. And Robbie is a 23-year-old racer. He's been racing professional for 6 years. He's been with DK Bikes for 5 years, and this kid can get after it. He is sponsored by 4 different people, and we'll talk about that as we continue today with XBS. But it's really special, Robbie, for me to sit here and say Robbie Miranda won $15,000 in 30 seconds of racing, but really it doesn't boil down to that because you've been doing this for so long. 6 years is a long time. But you and I were just talking about it's the biggest thing you've ever done, huh?
You know, Paul, I mean, $50,000 is a ridiculous amount of money to win a BMX race, and I'm just happy to take the first one in the Vans Triple Crown.
Did you think that at all the racers going to Camp Woodward, because that's where we're at Camp Woodward about a month or so ago, did you think it was going to be you because you had a great time trial? You got second place in the time trial.
I was one of the nervous guys pulling into that park just like everyone else, but I got on the track and I rode well. Time trials, I got second in the time trial, so that kind of set the standard and the mood for the day, and I just had to survive. 50 people raced, I just had to survive to the main, and then I had to make it happen.
Can you tell me about the main jump? Because there was a main hit, about 36 feet of gap right there. Well, how intimidating was that when you first went over it?
Well, that jump was a drop-off. You're hitting it about 30 miles an hour. Basically, you just hold on for all you have, and just take the jump.
Did you get a chance to like go up the track a little bit and kind of like work yourself into that jump, or did you just go for it right away? Yeah,
you had to take the track in sections. Do the first straightaway, do the main jump, the drop off, and then the last straightaway was 3 sets of doubles that were pretty big.
Yeah. Chris Sanchez had a heck of a day, and we were watching his progress, and you had a little duel going with him in the quarters and in the semifinals. Tell us about that.
Well, he qualified first in the time trial. I qualified second. That gave him lane choice all day. Right. So if he made the main, if we both made the main, he would have had first lane choice, and that's the better gate in the race.
Right.
So he didn't make it out to the main event. I did, and I got lane 1, which pretty much wrapped it up for me.
Yeah, lane 1 was like the main gate all day long because it was the inside track. It was a shorter jump coming off the start, and if you were in lane 8, you had to hope that something was going to happen in lane 1, 2, or 3.
If you're in lane 8, you got no chance. You know, 1, 2, and 3 is a better bet, but gate 1, I knew I had it pretty much.
Now this event never been done before. No one knew what to expect. You guys pulled up at Camp Woodward. It's been an event that's been building over the last couple of years, but it took a little while to put this thing together. I know it took a month or so just to build the track. What were you envisioning when you anticipated seeing the track, and then when you saw it, what did you think?
I envisioned something that probably wouldn't work. I race motocross often, and the jumps are huge, and you have suspension. You need suspension. BMX is just it's hard to picture that on a BMX bike because we're used to racing on smaller tracks, smaller jumps. So thinking about jumping 35-foot doubles, 40-foot doubles with 8 people around you, you just don't see it until you get on the track.
Yeah.
And we can do this.
Did you have to modify your bikes? Because I was wondering when I was there, we were talking to some people, I'm going to change up my tire pressure a little bit, or I'm going to try to ride a different type of style of bike. But did you do a whole lot?
Well, my DK bicycle can stand up to anything. I've jumped cars on it and everything. I've had some bad crashes. All I did was put a fat tire in the front, chest protector on my body, and just went at it.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. I know that when you ride BMX, and normally on the NBL or the other circuits that they have, the idea is to go around pretty much of a flat track. But this was pointed downhill on basically on a half of a ski slope at Camp Woodward. That's a permanent track now. So if you're able to go out to Camp Woodward, you can learn on that track. I know they're going to have that thing for a long time. Do you anticipate the next event? Because we got 2 events the same weekend coming up in Big Bear.
Yep. Well, that race in California, the round 2 and 3 of the Vans Triple Crown, I'm leading points going into that. I'm just going to go there with a good attitude and hope that the track is awesome.
Yeah.
And I hope the jumps are big. So I'm the only guy jumping them, of course.
Hey, I think I know that the track is going to be awesome, and I know you're going to be flying over. We're going to talk more with Robbie Miranda about the first stop of the Vans Triple Crown of BMX. And as I said, a little bit later on, Alan Foster will be here. He's not really injured. His wife is ready to have a baby. We'll talk to him about that, and then find out more about the NBL and the finals coming up in Louisville, Kentucky. More of XBS right here on ESPN after this. Hi everybody, welcome back to this edition of XBS. Robbie Miranda on the set in just a little bit. Alan Foster will be out here and representing the NBL and BMX racing. Alan's got his own Foster shoe that we're going to be talking about that too. And speaking of sponsors, Robbie Miranda has a few sponsors that I want to mention. Of course, he rides for DK Bicycles. They do a great job on the circuit. Also, DK 1-800 Collect and DC Shoes and Max's Tires. So you've got 4 good sponsors, and Robbie, hopefully after winning the Triple Crown, being on a show like this, getting national exposure, and just so you know, the show airs all over the world, and you know, maybe you can get a sponsor to add on to all the sponsors you already have.
Sure, I'd like to have a free travel sponsor if that would help. You know,
that would help. You know, we're looking for a sponsor on XBS. So if you're interested, make sure you find out about XBS, because you know we could put your name all over the show. It helps.
Yeah, so
you can't go wrong with sponsors.
No, sponsors is what gets me here. You know, DK 1-800 Collect got me to that race. I won the 15 grand. DC Shoes was happy. You know, every one of my co-sponsors is happy over this. You know.
Do you get an added bonus when you win something like that? I know, like some guys, if they win an X Games gold medal and they win $10,000 or whatever it might be, sometimes their sponsors match that. Is there an arrangement like that, or is that something you got to work into the contract?
Hopefully, since you said it, maybe they will.
Here we go.
You know, but no, I haven't got anything from it. I got the satisfaction of winning the first Vans Triple Crown.
Yeah.
You know, I did that for all my sponsors, myself. It's the best feeling ever to help everyone out like that.
You know, talking about that feeling, I went up to you after you had won it. You had gotten the trophy, you were walking away, and I was so excited for you because you raced so well. It's great when you watch a guy race well all day, and then he finally makes it to the final, and then he comes out and wins it. Were you in awe, or were you in disbelief that you had won this thing?
Prior to the finish line, we were on the gate, and it was just silent. You know, we were up there for about 15-20 minutes for the TV to take care of the stuff, and it was the most silent feeling, and everyone on the gate was thinking about the 15,000. I was in gate 1, which even made it even more stressful.
Right.
So after I got to the finish line, I wasn't really surprised that I won. I was more relieved that it's over, and I got the money. I'm done. I can go sit down now. I don't have to ride the track anymore. I don't take any more risk. But it was a satisfaction that I finished the race and I won and I'm done. You know, I want a personal thanks to all the racers that were at the event that weekend, because you guys were excellent for TV. That's part of our job, is to get these guys on TV. And they were... Robbie Miranda was in lane number 1 in the final race of the day of the Vans Triple Crown of BMX. And lane 1 was the hot lane. Can you tell me what happened? Because Tomas Allier made it interesting in turn number 2. Well, I watched it on tape after the race, and it looks like Tomas got a really good gate start. He was in the first turn first, but the way the track was set up, I went underneath him, put him up high, and that set him up really inside for the next corner. Right. Turn 2, and basically he was so inside that he hit the trash can that was marking the track, and he went down and took a couple guys with him. Did you have an idea of who was behind you? Did you ever look back once you got in the lead? I had no idea who was behind me. I was just riding my own race. I knew I could win if I was in first. No one was going to pass me out there. Right. I just had to stay smooth and get after the 36-foot gap, then you come around, you make a right turn. You got a nice table, and then before you get to the home stretch, you got that 90-degree left turn. Did that pose any problems at all? Was that a passing section if somebody was there, or in that final straight, could somebody pass you there? If I would have made a mistake prior to that, someone could have got me in that turn and gave me a run for the money. But once I hit that turn, I was home free. Yeah. You know, I knew I had it. Unfortunately, you know, the second stop of the Vans Triple Crown of BMX in Wilmot, Wisconsin got rained out. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine stop 2 and stop 3 in Big Bear, California. And that ought to be interesting because it's almost like an NBL event. You've got a lot of races happening in a 2-day span. Are you getting ready for that physically, mentally? Physically, riding motocross, getting used to the big jumps, speed. Mentally, it's pretty stressful leading points in a series like this because the overall title is $40,000 for first place. Right. And it's going to go down in 2 days. 2 days can change your life, and that's what I'm up against now. Now, talking about changing your life, and I asked the people at home to use your imagination about this because it's going to be coming up in a video that Robbie's got coming out with some people that he did this jump with. But you were out trying to jump cars, and on the 10th car, you cased it. What happened? Well, it was myself, Colin Winkleman, and Flush Fernandez, and we were out there jumping cars so you can go the farthest for $10,000.